It was a bitterly cold winter a few years back, a season that found me fresh out of a long, draining relationship and desperate for a clean slate. Julia, a longtime friend with an uncanny knack for unconventional escapes, convinced me that the remedy was a secluded retreat far from the relentless clamor of city life. We discovered a quaint cabin tucked away near a frozen lake in the Adirondacks, its modern design softened by rustic touches and framed by towering snow-laden pines. Without hesitation, I reserved the cabin for a week, yearning for solitude and the promise of rebirth. Little did I know, the shadows of the past would follow me, and the cabin held secrets darker than the winter night. When we arrived on that pale, frosty morning, the landscape looked like a scene painted by an artist. The frozen lake shimmered under a weak winter sun, the icy surface perfectly mirroring the snow-dusted evergreens. The cabin itself exuded a welcoming warmth through its glowing windows, beckoning us to escape the chaos of our former lives. A small, neatly wrapped package waited on the weathered front step. Inside lay a handwritten note that simply read, "Trust the frost. It reveals more than it hides," accompanied by a delicate silver charm shaped like a snowflake. There was an immediate sense of both welcome and unease, as if the token was a key to secrets that lay just beneath the surface. The first days were idyllic, days of long, soul-cleansing hikes along snow-crisp trails, with the crunch of ice underfoot punctuating moments of reflective silence. Julia and I spent our mornings wrapped in thick scarves and gloves, savoring hot cocoa on the wooden deck as our breath mingled with the drifting snow. Evenings were reserved for the comforting glow of the fireplace, where the day's memories were etched in flickers of flame, and the outside world was a distant, almost forgotten echo. Yet beneath the calm exterior, a current of mystery began to stir. On the fourth night, as the wind howled outside and the snowfall intensified into a relentless curtain, I was abruptly awoken by a rhythmic tapping at the window. Bleary-eyed, I peered through the frosted glass and saw, amid the swirling snow, a solitary figure on a snowmobile approaching the cabin. At first, I assumed it was merely another local braving the storm, but soon, I noted something unnerving in the figure's movements. A hesitancy and desperation that belied a simple ride for leisure. With a racing heart, I nudged Julia awake. Reluctantly, I bundled up in my heaviest coat and stepped out into the biting night, each gust of wind cutting like shards of glass. The figure dismounted near the lake's edge and with a quivering voice pleaded for help. She claimed that amid the chaotic blizzard her son had wandered off and that she was losing hope with each passing minute. The vulnerability in her tone stirred something deep within me, yet my instincts warned that not everything was as it seemed. As I approached, I noticed the details. The woman's features were partly obscured by her heavy fur coat, her hair pulled back into a tight braid, and her eyes glimmered with both fear and something else that I couldn't quite place. When she caught sight of the small pendant I wore, a replica of the snowflake charm from the mysterious package, a fleeting, almost mocking smile crossed her face. "Do you still carry it?" she demanded, her voice suddenly shifting from plaintive to icy. "Woman, do you still carry it?" Before I could muster a word of explanation, she reached beneath her coat and produced a small, cold handgun. In a heartbeat, her tone transformed from desperate pleading to menacing command as she ordered me to surrender my wallet and phone. Shocked and terrified, I complied without resistance, every second stretching into an eternity. Within mere moments, she was gone, hastily mounting her snowmobile and vanishing into the swirling white storm, leaving only an echo of her wild cries behind. I bolted back to the cabin, my footsteps frantic against the frozen ground, screaming for Julia to call the police. By the time I re-entered, the living room was awash with the eerie glow of emergency lights and the constant ring of my phone, as Julia tried to steady herself on the line with authorities. An hour later, uniformed officers arrived, their flashlights slicing through the oppressive darkness as they scoured the area for evidence. They traced a solitary set of tire tracks that led to an old, abandoned boat ramp on the far side of the lake. Their best explanation pointed to a desperate local with a troubled past, a narrative that did little to ease my mounting suspicions. The incident felt strangely orchestrated. The uncanny match between the charm, the cryptic note, and that unsettling smile all hinted at a premeditated design. Even now, as I reflect on that tumultuous week, I am struck by how the frozen wilderness not only exposed a criminal plot, but also forced me to confront the remnants of a life I had tried so hard to leave behind. The mystery of that night remains unsolved, a puzzle of coincidences, hidden agendas, and bitter memories. Yet, in that unresolved tension, I found the strength to rebuild, piece by piece, like the delicate shavings of ice that eventually form a resilient crystalline layer over a winter pond. Every winter since, when the first snow begins to fall, I'm transported back to that cold, fateful week. And while the memory of that mysterious woman still sends a shiver down my spine, I have come to see that night as a turning point, a frozen crossroads where the past and present collided, forcing me to rediscover my own strength. The whispers of the winter wind remind me that even in the midst of chaos, there can be beauty, and that sometimes the harshest encounters lead to the most profound transformations. In the end, the story of that winter retreat is not just one of danger and betrayal, it is a tale of survival, introspection, and the painful yet necessary journey towards self-acceptance. The charm and the cryptic note remain with me as bittersweet mementos of a time when the cold revealed more than it hid, and in that revelation, I found the courage to forge a new path.